that you are not the only one competing for that job. There are about 1,000 of the people competing for that job. And you want to take into consideration a few things so that you don't waste the time of the people who are going to select prospective employees for interviews. And don't forget that we don't have the time. So if you don't prepare your CVs very well, you don't get even called for an interview, or you don't even get selected for the next line. So remember that you're on a journey. Remember that there's a lot of things that you have to do. I call that the back-end process that you have to do. And then remember that to be able to hit the top, it requires a lot of discipline. So these are a few thoughts I want to share with you today. The first act of even thinking of putting a CV through is this definition I like so much. It says that, remember that your CV is a brief document that provides a brief account of 4 things. Number 1, it should tell us what skills you have. Number 2, it should tell us your education. I mean, what level of education you've attained. Number 3, it should tell us what your interests are. And number 4, it must tell us what relevant work experience you have. These are the 4 things that your CV must capture. Anything that's short of this, you will not be able to proceed to the next level. You will not be able to gain acceptance into any organization. Additionally, your CV is also going to give a good impression of who you are. So you can't take your CV for granted, please. Your CV can never be taken for granted. Don't forget that you can't take your CV for granted. You must make sure that as you give a first impression about yourself, you develop a document that meticulously speaks about who you are. And it's most often, before you come into an interview, we may have already looked at your CV. And for me, a lot of the questions I ask in the interview are guided by your CV. If your CVs are not interesting and it's my time to ask questions, I tell the panel members that, oh, I don't have a question, please pass. Because the quality of your CV determines whether I have an interest in you at all for the interview. And these are the things that you need to. So let's go through the interview in terms of what you must do. Number 1, the interview process must first, I mean, as you think through it, think of two main things. Number 1, what is your career goals? And please don't just start writing CVs just for the benefit of writing CVs, or just because your friend says write a CV. First thing you need to think of is, what are my career goals? What are the goals that I want to achieve in my career? That is the first thing. Don't put pen to paper unless you've thought about these two points. And these are what I call the giant steps to your career and developing yourself. Number 1, think of your career goals. And I'll go through each one after the other, a lot more detail, so that it would help the discussion in terms of what are. And then number 2, write your resume methodically, step by step. Don't just, I mean, I'll give you an example. When I started writing CVs, I mean, at a point in time, I capture everything on my CV. So I used to have a 16-page CV. For jobs and for interviews, please, you don't need a 16-page CV. And I would explain that to you as we move on. So first, what are your career goals? What do you want to achieve in your career? These are the first things. This is the first thing you have to think about. And then number 2, write your resume methodically, because they are very important. Now let's go on. As you think of your career, the first thing you have to do is to determine what your career objective is. Ask yourself these 4 questions whilst you're thinking of your goals and your ambition. What are you writing? I mean, why are you writing your resume? Why are you writing a resume? What is the reason for writing your resume? Okay, that's the first thing you ask yourself. Don't just, I mean, I've seen people write resumes just for it. I mean, they don't know what they are writing. They're just putting thoughts together. No. Ask yourself, why are you writing the resume? And then you also look at what kind of position you're applying for. I mean, people say that, let me just put a CV or a resume up for anything general. No. Normally when I sit on interviews, the first thing I look at is, have you profiled your resume to the job or to the position or to what you are applying for? Nobody does generic CVs or resumes any longer, please. So the second point you have to consider is what kind of position you are applying for. And then you have to provoke the question of why should you be invited into the interview? If you're doing the CV very well, that would require that you are actually invited for the interview. If you do your CV badly, nobody is going to invite you into an interview. So another thing that you have to think through in terms of career objective is, would your CV give you the impetus or give you the route to an interview? Okay, if you prepare a CV, if you know that this CV you're preparing won't give you that, please stop preparing the CV. The CV won't take you anywhere. The fourth thing you have to consider is to analyze the prospective employer. And most people don't do that. You know, we do CVs and we just, one generic CV, we send it everywhere. Please, you're not going to get a job with that. You see, the fourth thing is that analyze your prospective employer, and you need to have specific CVs for the specific jobs you are looking out for. For instance, if you have 5 companies in mind, please don't send generic interviews to 5 companies. For instance, you are looking for a job at ABSA, you are looking for one at Stanchart, you're looking for one at maybe Nestle Ghana Limited, you're looking for a job at the ministries or maybe Ministry of Tourism. The purpose and the objectives of the companies are different. So a generic CV or a generic resume will not get you into an interview. So that's why I like the fourth point that says, analyze the prospective employer. Do a SWOT, do a simple SWOT of the company that you're applying for. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are the opportunities that exist there? And then what are their threats? And then that would help you in developing and profiling your CV to the particular job that you are, or to the company that you want to apply. So these 4 things are very important. Before you put pen to paper, please determine your career objective in terms of, why am I writing the resume? Ask yourself these questions and please think through it well. What kind of position are you applying for? Are you applying for the job of an auditor, an accountant? What kind of position are you applying for? And then the question you must provoke in your mind is that your resume should allow the company to, or should get the company to invite you to an interview. And I made a very good point there to say that you are not the only one applying for that job. You are, I mean, another 1,000 or so people are also applying for that job. So if you don't go do a good CV, nobody is going to invite you into any job. And then analyze your prospective employer. Let's do a SWOT on them. Take a pen and paper, use your computer. There are a lot of other SWOT templates that you can get online. Go on there. If it is about Nestle Ghana Limited, put in there what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are their opportunities, and then what are their threats. And that should help you in profiling your resume for the job. No, if you can hear me, we're going to go through the presentation, and then when we're done, we'll ask questions. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
please, good. I can't hear what you are saying.
I'm just asking Noah to confirm for me, to say that when I'm done with the presentation, then we'll invite the questions. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the second point in terms of thinking about your career is you need to tailor your resume to the position. A few years back, not a few years, I think close to about 9-10 years ago, I decided to go look for a new job, and I put my CV or resume. I developed my resume, and everybody has a mentor. So I went to my mentor and showed her my resume. And my resume was about, I remember at that time, it was about 15 pages. And she asked me a question: who is going to read all this resume? Nobody's going to read it. So we took our time to profile my resume to the job. So we look at what are the roles and responsibilities required of the job. And based on that, we developed my resume accordingly. In terms of tailoring your resume to the position, the first thing you need to do is to look, what are your required qualifications, experience, and skills for the job? Most often, they are specified in the job ad. In the job advert, they will specify the quality, the qualifications, the experience, and the skills. Those are very important. So, and in terms of developing your profile, you need that, your qualifications. What qualifications do you have? What experience do you have? What skill sets do you have? And then also you need to state your positions that you've held in the last 10 to 15 years or current, that are relevant to the new job or the new employment that you're looking out for. If on your CV, whatever you are stating is not relevant for that position that you are applying for, it is not worth putting it there because nobody needs it. If the people on the interview need to ask you questions related to that, they will. So don't populate your CV just with anything. I mean, make sure that you ensure that relevance is more important. You put in things there that are relevant for the job. Now, I've also seen a lot of people do CVs and they put in a lot of the things that they do, so their duties. But I mean, it is okay. But what is more important in terms of resumes are your achievements, your career achievements. What have been your career achievements so far? So things around you've led a team to achieve 50% or 75% net promoter score result. Those are the things that I would like to see on your CVs. What are your achievements? And then you need to have some personal or professional values. Some people state integrity, we're serviceable. Those are the things, the values that companies like to have on your CVs. Remember that, and there's a very big problem that people commit all the time, or mistakes, sorry, that people commit all the time. What people do is that they put their hobbies as their values. Your hobbies are not your values, please. Your hobbies are not your values. What companies need are your values. What values do you stand for? What are some of the things that guides you in terms of your personal and your professional careers? So those are very important. And then also your skills and attributes that are invaluable to the company. Normally when I sit on interviews and I ask people, what do you bring to the role? Everybody says, I'm a team player. I am this, I am this. Make sure that your skills and attributes that you're bringing is very important. Nobody would employ someone who doesn't bring out anything. So question is, what are the skill sets? What are the attributes that you are bringing that are invaluable to the company? And that is why it's important that you do the SWOT on the company. Do the SWOT on the company. Look at what their strengths are. Look at what their opportunities are, their weaknesses are, and then make sure that your attributes and your skill sets are able to profile to meet those weaknesses and those strengths and those opportunities accordingly. Please note that skills sets and attributes are important, because if we have those skill sets and attributes in the business, we don't need you. So you need to be able to provide that. And then also impact execution. The impact of the new job to your career trajectory is very important. So some of the questions that we like to ask is that what is your career projections in the next 5 to 10 years or the next 3 to 5 years? You must have a career trajectory. We must be able to know where you're going to. My friend always says that, when people don't know where they're going, they end up anywhere. Most of the time when you interact with people in interviews and you look at their CVs, there's nothing around career trajectory. It doesn't tell you where they're going to go in the next 3 years, in the next 2 years. So please let us have when we take you onto the job, what is your next career trajectory? Where is it going to take you? For instance, if you say that you are an intermediate or an advanced, an accountant, in the next 2-3 years, what is your career trajectory? What do you hope to become? Do you hope to become a chief accountant? Do you hope to become a marketer? These things are very important as you're profiling your resume to the job accordingly. Now, if you remember, the second thing that after you have thought about your resume and you're going to put things down, thought about your career and you want to develop your resume, please write your resume methodically. Step by step. Take your time. Don't write resumes as if you're writing essays. No, please. Very, very important. No. Today, for the advance of technology, ISIT, there are a lot of templates that are online. Please don't reinvent the wheel. Go online, look at the one that suits the position that you are actually going to apply for. Go and adapt it. adapt its outline, the design, the layout, and let's have a good CV. Number one, the first thing is that use available resources. There are a lot of these templates online. I mean, till today, you still see CVs in an essay format, badly layout, bad design, bad outlook. Even English is so bad. Please, those are not the things that are going to let the companies invite you into their interviews. Don't forget that companies don't have the time. If you don't prepare a good CV, they're not going to invite you or shortlist you for the interviews. Okay, it's because we take our time to go through your CV, and we take our time to go through as many CVs as possible. So please don't use available resources. Go online and find the resources and use them. Number two, write your resume yourself and be honest with the information. I sat on an interview, and I think about a month ago, and sometimes you ask people some of the things they purport to have written on their resumes, and they can't speak to it. All right, all because they didn't possibly do the resume themselves, or they are not honest with the information on the resume. All right, so people wrote these things for them, developed these things for them. People put these things there that they are not honest about. Please write your resume yourself and be honest with the information that you, because don't forget, when you lie on your resume, it is criminal, and no organization would take people who lie or are dishonest with the information that they put on. So prepare to write your resume. You look out for available resources and look out for integrity. Integrity is what you must stand for, and put those information that are right and honest on your CV. And then decide which resume you need. There are 4 types that you can look at. Are you going chronological? Chronology is in terms of a period of ranking. So it comes from either 1 to 10, chronology over dates, over periods. Or you want to do functional. Functional is in terms of attributes, in terms of concepts. Is that what you want? Or you want a combination of chronology and functional? Or you want a targeted? Please determine that. Again, I say it again, resumes don't have a focus. I see it all the time. There are a lot of them. They don't know whether they are doing chronology, they are doing functional, they are doing a combination of the two. You don't even know what the intent is from day one. So you take the CV, there's no plan, there's no focus. Please determine, I want a chronological type CV, I want a functional type CV, I want a combination of chronology and functional, and please make it clear, set the tone and set it clear, okay? Let us see from the left to the right what you're trying to build in your resume. Let it be clear, simple, okay? So that when I take your resume and I'm reviewing it, I can simply know that, oh, he's using the chronology approach, he's using the functional approach, you're using the combination approach, you're using the targeted approach, all in achieving your goals and your ambition. Now, let's look at what you need to represent on your main resume. I mean, a few of the things are here. I've said that don't clutter your CV as much as possible. Please make it simple. Number one, your personal information is very important. I've seen people put in their emails, and they put in nickname emails. I mean, nobody's going to take you serious. So they possibly were called Rapid at school. And then when they put in on their CV, they put rapid45@gmail.com. I mean, clearly, these are the little things that are important. Then please don't commit those errors. So no embarrassing nicknames, very important in terms of your personal information. And then also today, a lot of people have gone ahead on LinkedIn and develop profile. But when you look at their CVs and you look at what information they've put on LinkedIn, there's a mismatch. So they've put on for instance, they've put on LinkedIn that they have an advanced expertise in Excel. And then when you come into their CV, they say they are beginners. Which one should we take? Okay, today, don't forget, most employers go onto LinkedIn to try to fish out information about you. So you cannot have a mismatch. Details on your LinkedIn profile should correspond to your resume. Whatever you have put there, make sure that we have the same information on your resume, because we'll check. Number two, what is your career statement? You need a career statement. What is your, I mean, we talked about career trajectory. What is your career statement? That should have a short paragraph that highlights your skills and your work experience. And please write this clearly and accurately. The English must be clear. write this very well, because that statement could be what the employer or the person sitting on the panel will read and ask you the questions. Sometimes you don't even have the time to go through the whole resume or the whole CV. So that career statement is very, very, very important. Who are you? What do you want us to know about you? What is your skill? Most of the time, it is your resume that gives us information about you. The interviews are normally very short, so we may not have the time to ask you a lot of questions. Maybe, I am restricted to only 2 questions, so I may not be able to ask you a lot of questions. So your career statement, your career statement gives me the opportunity to know who you are. So please don't take that for granted. And then the third point is that list your education details. Your degree, your program, your year you attended, any awards and honors you received. If you have any significant work or research that you have done, put it. And please note, your GPA is important, because again, we may not have the benefit of your details of your education or what you achieved in school. So make sure that you put your GPA, because your GPA is specific. It tells us your excellent abilities in school. All right, and we need that. We need that to be able to segregate you and somebody else who didn't put it there. The fourth point is that list your skills. Limit it to between 5 to 10 skills. Remember, we don't have the time to review a lot of things.
Yes,
and then and please, can you mute your mics, please? And then you need to be honest about your skills. I said it earlier that hobbies are not skills. We've seen a lot of people saying that they have skills in soccer, we have skills in basketball. Please remember, hobbies are not skills. We require skill sets. I have a high skill in Excel. I have a skill set in business process reengineering. I have a skill set in business development. Those are skill sets. That is not a hobby. Hobbies are not skill sets. And then let's know what your experiences are. What are your business experiences? It's very important that we know your business experiences and we are able to relate to. So include work experience relevant to the position, and also be selective in terms of what you want to include. So if you look at these 5 things, you're not going to write a lot. Focus on what is relevant, focus on what is important. So, in terms of work experience, maybe you don't have a work experience in terms of the main work, but you have internships that you have done. Please put those internships there. You have a lot of work that you do on campus in terms of some work experience. Because you see, when I go into the interview rating scale and details shortly, you'll know why we need all of these things. And because we believe that these things would help to develop a certain skill set in you that organizations will need. So include work experience relevant to the position and be selective in terms of what you put on it. Noah, if you can hear me, is it okay to transit now into the interview proper, so that people would also like to know. I know that people like to know what we do with the interview process itself. So in interviews, normally we do the targeted audience, and mainly we do the value client. But let me take you through here the scoring pattern. In most interviews, you meet a panel. The panel has a set of questions that they are scoring.
I'm here now.
Okay. I am asking whether I should still go ahead with the interview process, please.
Yeah, if you can make it snappy, whilst we welcome the scholarship and the study abroad people to give us the presentation.
All right. So in terms of the scoring patterns, we look at whether you are a conceptual thinker. Is he somebody who is a problem solver? Is it an improvement driver? When you give him a task, is he going to improve it? That is he a culture and change champion? Culture is very important. So is he somebody who can be a role model? Clearly, is he a supportive people manager? Does he have values? Is he a relationship manager? Is he a resource achiever? So these are some of the things we look out for. And then in terms of operational astuteness, is he somebody who can set priorities, somebody who can plan, somebody who can organize, and somebody who can coordinate the work of others? So these are some of the 8 or 7 things that we look out for in most interviews. And this is what we score you against. So when you come into interviews or you are ready to come into interview, remember that most often we want to, these are the steps that we require. And these are the steps that we will ask you. If you come in there and just with any thinking, remember that you may not be able to achieve your objective in interview. So clearly, conceptual thinking, very important. Is he somebody who is a problem solver? Does he demonstrate mental agility? Is he somebody who can identify relevant business challenges and solve it? In terms of improvement driver, is he somebody who has the ability to execute? Is he somebody who has commercial abilities? Is it somebody who demonstrates self-awareness in terms of person? Does he have the ability to build professional networks? So in short, these are some of the things that normally most organizations will look out for in interview. So thanks so much, Noah. You can take it from here. I mean, just a quick one that I wanted to share with a team in terms of how to prepare their CVs and their resumes and how they can get ready for interviews. Thank you. Yeah, Noah, you can take over from here, please. I don't know. Take it over.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Lawrence, for this great presentation. Yeah, actually, we are having a technical challenge. We are expecting about 400 people to join this platform right now. But what has happened is that they are not able to join this particular hot meeting, right? So those of you who are here, count yourself blessed for being able to join, right? So the technical team are working hard to let your friend also join us, right? So at this point, you will say a great thanks to Mr. Lawrence for this presentation. I'll make the slides available. Right, I'll make the slides available. But before we welcome Dr. Maxwell Frimpong and his team from the US to join us to focus on scholarship and study abroad, right? I'll give you guys opportunity to ask some few questions. So within the next 3 minutes, you should be done, whilst Dr. Maxwell and his team prepare to share with us some awesome insights that they have for us from the States. You know, some of you want to study abroad, and all those issues regards to study abroad and scholarship and all those. These are very, very cardinal, and these are very, very critical things that you all need, right? So before they join us soon, I'll give the platform for questions. So if you want to ask any question, you can use the chat. You can just use the hand emoji by letting me know that you want to ask a question. Then I'll give the platform to do that. Whilst we wait for Dr. Frimpong from US to give us scholarship insights. Right. Any questions so far? Yeah, so let me see. Yeah, Kwame, let me take your question first. Kwame.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity, and then thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I have some few questions with regards to the CV and then interviews. First of all, my question on the CV is it accurate to put on your date of birth on your CV and then the leadership roles that you've occupied? Maybe in the high school you held some positions, and then in the university too you held some leadership positions. Is it right or appropriate to put it on your CV? And then for the interviews, we always hear people talk about get to know current issues, maybe the ministers and their names and a whole lot of things. How relevant is such issues to interviews? Thank you.
So thank you so much. I don't recommend, I mean, that's my personal view, and I don't recommend that people put their date of birth on interviews. I don't recommend that. If the panel want to ask you, they will ask you. I don't recommend that people do that. The second point I think you raised was, if you can remind, I think I missed the second point I was writing, whether you can put in your no, sorry, I think I missed the second question whilst I was writing.
So your leadership role.
Yes, you can. I mean, it depends on
Yes.
you, but please, you need to be careful. You don't need to. I mean, we are not swelling up the CV. We're profiling. So look at your leadership skills that you have gained out of what you've done, and please make sure that you put in those ones that are relevant for the job. Those ones that are not relevant for the job, you don't need to put it there. Don't forget, what we are doing is profiling. You're profiling yourself for the job. So please, I recommend that you look at those ones that are very relevant for the job and you put those ones there. They are very important. They are skill sets that you have developed from leading and managing people. So, and leading them in terms of projects and initiatives. So yes, I recommend that you put it there, but don't swell the CV up or the resume up. Please make sure relevance is everything. Make sure that whatever you put into that CV is relevant for the job and the position that you're applying for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you so much, Honorable Lawrence, for the answer. Mark, I think you should use your actual name so I can able to know that this Mark Pro, I don't know who you are. So let me move on to Brown Mary. Oh yes, let's hear your question. Brown, are you ready?
Please, I wanted to ask okay. They ask you for your experience, but what about if you don't?
Sorry, I just had a question. If you can hear me, that I mean, your experience, if you don't have, there's some experience that you will have. You've been in the university, you've done a couple of internships. Those are the things that you need to put there. And please, I also recommend that as a university student, once you go through, internships are very important. I'll give you an example. I got into MTN due to internships. So don't just go sit down at home during the semesters. Look out for organizations and go and do internships. Today, most organizations allow people to do internships. Go there, do internships, spend some 2-3 weeks, spend some 1 month, 6 weeks, and leave. And you see, whilst you do that, you connect, you build relationships, you build networks. And then when you're ready for the job market, it makes it easy. And you have some experiences that you have built. And I agree with you. Sometimes it's difficult when people build CVs and there's nothing in there showing what they have done. And most organizations want people that have been through a couple of experiences. So please, how do you build up some of those experiences? Take internships, and that is why most of the time, students outside the country doing vacation, look out for vacation jobs, internships, and do that. And I recommend that, please, let's go look out for some of those things. Go to companies, do internships. Don't go sit at home. Build skill sets, build experiences before you are ready for the job market. You can't go into the job market going to build these things. And I tell people, I am a very optimistic person who likes to create demand. Go and create something. Sometimes you have to do some jobs and build experiences and don't request for any money for it. You're developing yourself, you're developing your abilities, you're developing your personal capabilities before the job market. And then when it comes, the job market readiness comes, you're ready. You don't get ready when you move into the job. You have to make yourself ready before the job comes in. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah, please, can you mute yourselves, please? Thank you. Yes, Noah. Okay. Thank you so much, Nana Kwesi. There's a question I missed, whether current affairs. It's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, because it's also very important that you know. Current affairs is important, so please, you need to know. But these are not things that I'll give an example. I normally won't ask questions as I sit on interviews about current affairs. I normally ask one very interesting question, and I'll tell you the question I ask. In most of my interviews, there's one question I ask to determine whether the people are critical thinkers. So I ask them a question. If I give you a 20,000 Ghana cedis right away, what are you going to do with it? A very simple question, but it helps me to determine whether the people are critical thinkers. Okay, so I'll ask you this question, and I know most of the time I hear people say, oh, I'm going to take it to the bank to save money, and then I'm going to think of what to do. No, I like you to be prepared already, so that when I give you the money, you are ready. So I normally won't ask functional questions like, who is the minister for that? Who is the minister for that? I'll normally set scenarios, and I like scenarios type questions where I ask people, okay, I'm giving you 20 Ghana cedis, I'm giving you $20,000 now. What are you going to do with it? And then that is where you're able to determine and look out for people's creative abilities, people's critical thinking, and people's ability to move to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maxwell. Sorry, Mr. Lawrence, for this great insight. Yeah, I will leave.
Thank you, Noah.
Can I give your contact to them? So in case of any further question, or email will be better.
I think email is better, and WhatsApp. They can send me WhatsApp on 0555 999 999. They can send me WhatsApp. WhatsApp is fine. Okay, and so my email is fine. On my present 0555.
Okay.
999.
999.
999. And then yes, thank you so much. Somebody put it on. And then
okay, continue.
Yeah, and then I'll put my my email as well there, so that they can also
do that for us.
Yes, yeah. Please WhatsApp only on the phone, and then I'm going to give you my my email as well shortly. Yeah, and please don't hesitate to send me WhatsApp or emails on any questions regarding interviews, how to prepare your CVs. I'm more than willing to support and help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lawrence Akosin, for this great insight. Right, you welcome to that question.